Hey everybody, it's Teresa. So as usual, I'm going to wait just a few minutes to see if we have anybody that's going to sign on. And because I said I was going to go live somewhere around 8. And of course, my people want to watch a movie, so I'll get started a little bit early. I'll give you a few minutes to jump in there. Hey there. So I'm on just a few minutes early. I'm going to get started soon. I'm adding a little bit more water to the cup. And what I want to do is when I layer my cup, I need to do first color in, last color out. So I want this yellow, orange, and the pink to be kind of in the center to provide the look. So these have to be my first colors in. And then these colors as they go out are my last colors in. So as you're pouring the ring and then it stretches, this remains the center. So what I'm doing with this one is I've got some borders, kind of like bowling, like a bowling alley. And this is just to keep that ring just kind of in the center. I will take those off and then paint the sides once I'm done or determining what shape I want. I'm not really sure if I want to continue with this linear shape, but if I do, I want it more like this all the way down as opposed to this. And on this one, I actually might go hand paint a black border on either side and then put more teal on it. I don't know, haven't decided yet. So this one's not necessarily done. If the shape does not come out the way I want, I might go with more of manipulation by either adding color or using the stick in order to change what's going on. So I've added a little bit more water. These have been sitting for a couple hours. I've added a little bit more water because I really need them to move down the canvas. Let's see. I need more water. You really do need to add a very small amount at a time because you don't want your paints to break. And then you've wasted a $50 canvas or $40 canvas. Not wasted it, you can pour over it, but still it's the amount of time and effort that's wasted that you don't really want. That's pretty thick. Oh shoot. I've already spilled paint today. I spilled half of this bottle today. Half of this bottle. Unfortunately, I was straining some of the Floetrol that I mix in and went over to grab the bottle and it didn't have the top on it because that's the bottle I was filling, and knocked the whole thing over on the floor. Of course, it got on my tile. I spent a good 20 minutes cleaning it up out of tile. There's also something that may happen with this. Because this is such a larger canvas, I typically use the smallest cup possible when working with my canvases, because the more you move the cup, the more they will muddy in the cup. So if you have a really large cup like a Starbucks Grande cup and you do something like this, by the time you swirl, 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 you'll just have mud at the bottom. So it's better to work in smaller amounts per cup or per layered cup than it is one giant one. Now, if you're doing a straight pour, which would be just literally pouring it directly onto the canvas slowly, there's less mixing because you're not mechanically, swirling your arm. You're just pouring it directly out. So it really depends on what method you're using. So let's see. These are not my favorite cups. Let me go get a bigger cup real quick. Okay. All right, so I've got my paper towel, which I always forget. I've got a cup. So this cup I'm actually gonna cut down. Like I said, I normally try to use the smallest cup possible, but I'm going to just cut this cup down to probably like halfway. I don't want that entire distance coming out of this cup here. That just leads to extra mixing. So sometimes you have to create your own stuff here. If this doesn't work out, cup. Let's see. I have a styrofoam cup over here, but I don't really like using styrofoam cups. The paint seems to stick to the sidewalls of the styrofoam. Okay. Now, let's see. I've got my fire stick, and let me go grab my torch. Okie dokie. Here's my torch, it's on the floor. Alrighty. So, what we'll do is we'll do a little bit of torching before we do the major stretch. So I do have this on a bit of an angle. What I want it to do is to start sliding, and in this technique, I almost always put something down on the canvas. This canvas is very dry, and even though the canvas does have a little bit of gesso on it, what happens is when you put a puddle in a circle of paint, this almost works like a speed bump, in that once the paint starts rolling, like this edge of the paint here rolls, it rolls underneath itself when it's on a dry surface. But if you go ahead and put down one layer of paint, whatever color you want, and then apply another puddle over it, it works much like hydroplaning with a vehicle. You can move a very heavy vehicle if there's a layer of water up underneath it. So the idea behind having the wet paint down is to be able to let that circle stretch from gravity, but also slide instead of rolling itself under itself. So when it's a circle like this on dry canvas, that circle tends to kind of eat itself. It just rolls up underneath itself. This way, if you put the paint down up underneath it, it allows it to stretch without breaking so much. Okay, So let's get our white paint down. Let's see. And you don't have to use white as your base. It's just that this is what I have the most of. I haven't been out to the store at all for any of my supplies, even though I really wanted to. So I'm running low on everything. So we're gonna run this all the way down. This doesn't have to be extremely smooth, but we do want to go ahead and get all the bubbles out of it. Okay, so while I'm cleaning up my hands, let's see who we have here. Krista, Kathy, and Sandy. Hello, everybody. Okay, so quick torch on just this layer. Remember, face your torch away from you. Hold on to it and pray your lighter works. Might actually be on the juice and not there. There we go. Okay. Just a quick torch, nothing major. Okay. Remember, turn your torch off. Keep your hand on your torch at all times until the blue flame goes completely out. Okay, so in order to create this, remember, it has to be the color that you want in the center of your circle pour has to be the first color in. So we're going to go from light to dark. So we will start with I don't want a ton of white in here, just a very small layer of white. Let me check this one. This one's been sitting for about a month, so I need to test it. Okay. Okay, so as I layer these, I will be layering them on an angle. The very first one, it doesn't matter because there's nothing else in there. Everything else will be layered on an angle. And I do teach this in my class, that gentle layering is what really will help you if you're having trouble with muddiness in your pours. No matter what design you're trying to get, if you're just careful at every step, then it will look better as it comes out. Now, as these dry, they will darken. This pink looks really like bubblegum pink, but as it dries, it will give you that nice deep pink that's here. It almost looks red. And then we have our red layer. The orange does darken up as well. It's just the Floetrol that's in it that has really lightened it up. So these layers, this is a kind of a learning experience for me as well, because I haven't done anything this large in a while. So when it comes to layering something so that you get these distinct rings, it's just a matter of practice. So I'm gonna pour in what I think is a good amount, and then all the subsequent layers I'm going to try to make the same thickness. With the exception of the last black layer, because the sides of this I really want to be teal, so I really want a very small border of black, and I might actually end up putting in navy blue. I really haven't decided yet. I don't know, we'll see. Make sure I got all the colors right here. I'm pouring very gently to not mix these colors, and you can actually see on the sidewalls that they are still separated. Again, this wasn't meant to be a teaching lesson today, so that's mainly why I'm not a lot on camera with each step that I'm doing. It's just kind of to be fun. I'm actually talking way more than I had intended on. I'm gonna cap this off with black. I think the blue next to that would be gorgeous, but I think I'm just gonna go with black since that's what I tested, and the black looks excellent against that teal. I do know that the navy goes really well with that teal, but I kind of think it's pretty striking with this black against it. And I do mix a little bit of blue into most of my black paint. People have said it makes it look a little bit more rich, a little bit more depth. One day I will buy Mars black. I would like to try that. That's one color that a lot of people say they really like is Mars black. I don't know what is different about it. Maybe Sandy could tell us. Sandy Thirst that's on here does a lot of her own acrylic pouring as well as just regular everyday art. And then she also does art for fallen officers. She's quite amazing. And a friend of mine. She's a very sweet woman. Okay, so this cup is a little bit not as rigid as I'm used to working with, so that could pose a problem. We'll see. Now, because I'm going to be pouring a ring and I'm going to be letting that ring drag, I'm going to bring this white layer a little bit further up here. I didn't get it up far enough, or gravity got it, I don't know. I'm okay with letting a little bit of the ring fall off the back. As a matter of fact, I might flatten it for just a few seconds while I pour and then tilt it. But I'm going to go ahead and have this ready. Just got a little thing of duct tape. When it first comes out, because it's so full, it will kind of glop, and then we'll stretch it. So I'm going to start with this puddle of teal. Let's see. I think this actually might have something stuck in the top here. This is the one I was mixing earlier and it totally dropped. So I do need to make sure that's completely shaken out. Let's see. You always want to make sure there's not any striations in your paint. That means it's not mixed completely. And I can tell it is pretty thick, so I'm going to add a little bit of water to it. Give it another good shake. Usually when I'm doing these longer canvases, my paint is thinner. And that's just usually to help stretch it across the canvas. Hey Nicole, hi Ryan. Again, yeah, I think that's stuck, so we'll just pour it out of the top here. I need to really clean this out. These are my favorite for injection pouring, so I'll have to get that straightened out pretty quickly. Okay, let's see. I do have some extra colors here in case this does not stretch all the way. I could technically pour another ring from halfway down. Just depends on how it all goes. We'll see. It's not behaving. It is really just dumping off the side of that cup. And sometimes that happens. Sometimes you just have to go with the flow. Oh, we are getting some beautiful colors though. I'm going to go ahead and start manually tipping this. Oh, it's heavier than I thought. Now, all right, so while that's tipping, I am going to run the torch on it real quick, because if the white bubbles come up, then we'll just have a bunch of white stretch bubbles, and I don't want that. You never want to get close enough that you're charring your paint. Okay, remember, turn it off, hold on to it till the big flame is completely out. Okay, I'm really glad I put these bumpers up. I will take them down, but this does actually let me stretch this puddle without losing the basic shape. Okay, then I can tip it back over here. Now, it has created a natural little road bump here, so I'm going to help it along. Put more paint down. This is where I really should probably have a thicker and a thinner amount of white paint, or whatever my base paint's going to be. Because you really want this base coat to kind of help skateboard all this down. So see, you can actually pull this to get it to come down. Now, let's see, this cup is gorgeous inside here. This will take time, and I continually will have to monitor to make sure that the shape is not changing too much. Now, I'm going to go ahead and try to rock this back and forth a little bit. I don't want to lose that ring shape, so I'm just gently going to go back and forth with it. Okay, so I can see the speed bump here. I don't know if it's a blob of something in the paint. So you just kind of move the paint that's right up next to it. Sometimes it's just one. It is, it's a blob. See that blob? And that would have ruined the whole thing. It would have made all of the paint, it would have created like a bump way back in there. So you just continually have to monitor what's going on with the paint. So I'm gonna tip this back now to get the weight back. Let's see if we can fill up this sidebar here. Okay, now I'm going to try to come back to center. Now, I think what we will do is fill in the black. I want the weight of this paint to pull this whole thing down. Like I said, if I have to, I might just end up pouring another cup and then stretching that as well so that we get the design all the way down. But I basically want to stretch all of these layers out so that we can see what's going on in between. Looks very galactic. Okay, so we're hitting another speed bump, so let's get some more paint here. I'm going to fill this black in along the edge. I really want this heavy weight here on the edge of my design to pull everything down the board. I see how that black is just, it's heavier than the white. It's actually pulling faster. I love this little tail it's creating. Now, I do want to get a cup down here. Let's get our cup. See if we can catch some of this paint. Okay, so let's straighten this out a little bit. Okay, because that's going to create a speed bump. This doesn't have any paint down here other than where I beat my stick off here. So let's go ahead and pull this layer down. Okay, remember the bumpers are coming off. This is just to keep this design right in the middle. Okay. Now it's decision time. What to do with the rest of this. This almost looks like some kind of mouth or shark's mouth here. So I really want to stretch this out more, but I don't want to lose all this galaxy look, but I would be okay with losing some of this stony look. So I think I'm going to continue to stretch down here and then pull it back a bit. I know you guys can't see this. I'll show you in just a minute. So I'm trying to get rid of some of these stones, and you'll be able to see it as soon as I tip this. I'm using one of the sidebars. Now we've really got some galaxy looking stuff here. Now I really feel like I gotta get some of this green in there because there is some more stretching that I need to do. Let's see, but I gotta clean this out. I have to have this nozzle. So let's see, let me go clean this out real quick and I'll be right back. Hang in there. let's see if I got this. Hoping so. No. Of course, this is one of my favorite bottles, and I'm afraid that if I push too hard, it's going to end up busting the whole thing. Yeah, let's see. I know there's just a small piece because I just got water to go through this, so there's got to be just a small piece stuck in there. But it's a very narrow hole. Okay. Use one of my son's tools. I'm sure that will thrill him to no end. Let's see. Oh. It's like I freed it and then it went right back in the hole. Sorry guys. This is kind of what happens. Because I haven't been teaching classes or painting, these have been sitting for over a month now. I used them a little bit, but not enough to really keep a skin of paint from growing up on them. Okay, let's see. Kind of like your car battery, right? I hope everybody's starting their car battery and going for a drive occasionally. Oh man, looks like we're almost there. Well, at least you guys can hop off and then get back on later. I've got paint drying. That's the bad part. This is ridiculous. I can't believe how stubborn this piece of paint is being. I stuck a paintbrush up in there. I got it almost all the way up in there to clean it out. So I know it's just something right at the very top. It's just being so difficult. Let me see if I can find another bottle top. All right, let's use the one from the white. Okay. So thinking about what's going to happen on the sides, I think I'm still going to do this aqua. I've got this white coming over here, which looks very much like a galaxy, so I'm going to probably take my stick eventually and drag through that. But first I want to put the green in. And I want to get rid of some of these rocks, whatever these rock looking things are. I know some people strive for those formations. I don't really care for them. And I also don't want to mess up these, looks like stars over here. So I've got this coming in here that already looks like a little bit of green from here, from the puddle that we put in initially. So I'm going to try to follow in through that. And I'm actually like drawing in the paint up underneath these layers. I'm going to go right through the center and then right out the side here. Continually squeezing because you want to make sure that you're not going to suck up any of the waste paint. So we're going to give that a second to come up. It'll either sink up underneath the paint or it'll come up, or it'll do both. And then let's see, we'll decide what to do next. This formation here I kind of want to get rid of. I really want something more flowy. So probably going to stretch back this way because I know you guys can't see, but there's a white corner there, and I want to stretch the stars off the back, and then probably stretch out this area. And I might actually take the stick when I run it through the white here. I might actually just run it right through this design and try to stretch that out. Okay. So I'll start with going back a little bit. Always watching all parts of the design because you don't want to tip so heavily that you ruin another part of your design. I could always fill in with black back there, which might be the smarter option. It's just, I wanted that, the little red and the sparkles, it looks like stars, to kind of do its own thing. That's all right. Okay, so. All right, so let's see, let's go with dragging our stick. I'm gonna put in the stick the thin way. You can use the thick way or the thin way. And there's some white over here that kind of looks like a shooting star. And I'm just gonna drag right through that, down through this design, and see if I can kind of wreck this part of it. I just didn't like that design. I kind of don't like this either, but let's see what we can do with it. How about we pull back from the black back into it this way. That also means I kind of want to bring, let's see, I think I want to split that out. So, no, let's not use that one. Always check your paints to see how they're going to come out. Okay, I'm going to start back here. And I'm just going to do a solid line, as solid as I can, right through this. And then straight across. I don't know why. It's just what I want to do. I'm going to let that sit. White tends to go up underneath your other paints. You need to let that sit. Sometimes it's, you know, a matter of 5 minutes. Sometimes it's a matter of 15 to 20 minutes. It is already starting to sink up underneath the black. The black will come up and encapsulate it. But now I want to manipulate the design, so make sure you get a clean end of your stick. And we'll get rid of our blub blub blubs. Just drag through it. Try to have something organic, something kind of flowy. You don't have to swirl or anything, you can, but just try to make something flowy if you're gonna make something that's kind of like organic and maybe space or whatever, I don't know. But I also have to stretch it because all of this has been stretched. Whatever you add that doesn't get stretched looks different, it's thicker. So it's best, at least I think, to try to stretch it and make everything else kind of thin out. The problem is if you stretch it and the weight of your paint is here, it will make your design like accordion. So you have to kind of move slowly so that the whole design moves. And the longer it sits, of course, it starts drying, so just be careful. You have to see which part is moving the fastest. Right now, this part is moving the fastest, and it's kind of creating this neat kind of tearing of that white. Looks really neat. Kind of almost like mountains, snow-capped mountains. I do want to bring this down just a little bit. And it's coming very fast, so you gotta be careful. You can stretch it out a little more. I kind of want the stuff at the end to fall off. I go for a heavy push and see if we can stretch that stuff out. There we go. Okay. Now I'm gonna go back. Let's see if I can turn this around so you guys can see it. I don't want to end up wearing it. Now I'm going to try to stretch it and tip it at the same time. This is a pretty severe angle. I don't usually work this severe of an angle, but the paint has been sitting for a while, and I really kind of want to get it going. And I really want this teal to stretch all the way across the sky, trying to balance what this is going to look like in the end. Now, let's try to stretch that out. Bring this back down. Now, okay, so I've got teal here, and the borders are going to be teal. I'm going to take this, let me get fresh teal. Where's my bottle? I want a little bit through there, so I'm just going to put it on the stick. I don't want a whole glob, I just want enough to kind of drag across. Kind of like a continuation. And I think we kind of need some here down at the bottom, so I'm going to take a little bit more and a little bit of white. And I'm going to go down in the white that's here. Let's see if we can drag it along a little bit. Sometimes you have to create something different. Okay. Now let's go ahead and pull our borders off. And then let this stretch out. I'm okay with it stretching out. I just wanted to get the basic design and keep it in the middle. Okay, and I make sure to pull this tape away so that I'm not dropping any paint drops on my completed design. I can always clean it up off the sides. I just don't want a big dot in the middle of my work I just did. Okay. Alright, so that's done. Now let's put the teal along the sides. And I'm almost scared to do this. I think what I'm going to do is maybe fill in with black. I'll do the borders. So now I need to rub this all along the sides. This is a 2-inch gallery wrap canvas. This is a great one for commissions. It just looks fantastic hanging on the wall without a frame or with a frame. It doesn't matter. It can stand alone. Okay, so now I'm just cleaning up the sides. So you guys, if you want to just check back later, I'll post a picture of what it looks like when I'm done. So take the black. Okay, I'm trying to make sure I have enough. Because I mix these myself, if I were to mix another batch, it wouldn't match, and when it dried, it would have a different look to it. So you have to be careful when you do this. Okay. So right now I'm just bumping this paint up against the design that I just did. Really don't want to touch it just yet. I just kind of want to get it up to the edge. Same thing with the teal. Just trying to get it over there, and I'll fill in any gaps that I have later. Just want to make sure that I have enough between the bottles that I've created with this mixture of black and blue. So I've got plenty of color here on the counter that I can use for the ends. Let me see if I have my, I don't, let's see what I can use. Okay, so what I'm doing is on the ends, I'm picking up color from the counter and just putting it on the end where the ring pour went. Just using what's already on the table. Trying not to ruin the design, because that's kind of the whole point of doing a pour, is having this beautiful color come off the edge. So I want to pick up the same colors and try to drip it off this edge here. If that doesn't work, we will create a drip edge. And that is super easy to do. Get all the colors handy. And I know you guys probably can't see what I'm doing, but I'm just working on the ends. You guys can go ahead and go. I'll go ahead and fill you guys in with a picture as soon as I'm done. All right, I'm gonna finish it up. See you later.